I am here tonight representing my late father, Rabbi Hershel Schachter, Zichrono Livracha, who passed away a little over 2.5 years ago, and who was, as you heard, the first American Army chaplain to enter the concentration camps at the end of the war. He was in General Patton's Third Army. He saw combat at the Battle of the Bulge. He was on the front lines when American troops captured section after section of Germany in April of 1945. And he entered the Buchenwald concentration camp outside of Weimar, Germany on April 11th, 1945, 70 years ago. He moved into Buchenwald for 10 weeks and threw himself into the task of saving human lives. After just a few days in Buchenwald, he invited General Eisenhower to come to Buchenwald and to see firsthand what the Germans had done. There's a very precious and special moving footage of General Eisenhower walking through Buchenwald in absolute disbelief, surrounded by a number of American servicemen. What my father saw stayed with him for the rest of his life. He spoke always, all the time, about his Holocaust experiences. The foundational narrative of my childhood was his Holocaust story. The most memorable experiences of my childhood were encountering survivors whose lives he saved and in hearing their stories. A few days after he died, his obituary appeared on the front page of the New York Times. Before then and since then, much has been written by survivors who described what my father, Zichrono Livracha, meant to them and what he did for them. I want to share this evening 2 brief examples. My father figures very prominently in the gripping book entitled Out of the Depths, written by the current chairman of the Vashem Council, the former chief rabbi of Israel, currently the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau. Rabbi Lau describes at length his first encounter with my father. He, a 7-year-old boy, hiding behind a stack of dead bodies. My father, an American Army chaplain. And he continues. After visiting all the bunkers, Rabbi Schachter helped me find Naftali. Naftali was his older brother. We went to the Buchenwald hospital where my brother was being treated for typhoid fever. My name is Hershel Schachter, he said, introducing himself to Naftali. I am the army rabbi for the division that liberated Buchenwald. He took out several cans of orange juice from his bag. I know who you are, and I'm going to help you, and everything will be all right. He reassured Naftali, and he concluded with a mazel tov. Congratulations, we have gone me'avdos lecherus, from slavery to freedom, he said, referring to the story of the Exodus. Naftali names Rabbi Hershel Schachter as the first person to offer him relief after liberation, and says that the rabbi restored his confidence in himself and in humanity. My second example comes from a book written by a survivor who I believe actually is here with us this evening. Mr. Martin Greenfield is a leading American maker of hand-tailored menswear, a survivor of Buchenwald. He wrote about my father in his memoir entitled Measure of a Man, published just this past year. He wrote how in 1985 he saw my father at a gathering of the United States Holocaust Museum in Washington at the groundbreaking. My father was a featured speaker, and afterwards, Mr. Greenfield recognized him from 40 years earlier. It's him, I said excitedly to Arlene. After the ceremony, I found a rabbi. Rabbi Schachter, my name is Martin Greenfield. I was at Buchenwald. Rabbi Hershel Schachter told me he lived in the Bronx. We stayed in touch until his death in 2013. Every time we visited, no matter the occasion, we relived this story together. But standing there at the Holocaust Museum dedication, which had turned into a Buchenwald reunion, with tears streaming down our faces, all we could do was to hold on to each other. I didn't want to let go of him. He didn't want to let go of me. To experience once again that connection, to stand with the man who held me as a boy when my spirit was shattered by the Nazis and their lust for death and darkness. I felt as though I'd been kissed by an angel. I felt as though I'd been kissed by an angel. I often wonder, why were we spared? By what merit were we spared? Favelach mitzvahs, imasim tovim, were we spared? What good deeds did we do and do we do that justify our opportunity for life when so many others, mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and daughters and sons, men, women, and children, 1.5 million children were so cruelly and viciously slaughtered? I have no idea why we were spared, but of one thing, and of one thing only, I am certain, and that is that we were not spared to forget. We were not spared to allow others to forget. Not our children, not our grandchildren, not the members of our communities, and surely not those revisionists who have the obscene gall to deny us our tragedy, who seek to kill our dead for yet a second time. And we were not spared to slowly disappear as a people into the multi-ethnic fabric of contemporary American life. And so tonight we recognize that our very existence, 70 years later after the end of the Shoah, imposes upon us a serious and weighty obligation. From this gathering in this great city, in this great country, let the words go forth, Zachor, gedenkt, remember. We will remember the death of the 6 million, and we will do so in the language that was used by Gideon Hausner as he began his prosecution of Adolf Eichmann. We will remember those whose voices cannot be heard, whose ashes are piled up on the hills of Auschwitz and the fields of Treblinka, whose ashes are strewn in the forests of Poland, whose graves are scattered throughout the length and breadth of Europe. We will remember them, and in their memory we pledge that we will do whatever we possibly can to ensure a world free of terrorism, bigotry, and intolerance, a challenge that, as we know, is becoming more and more acute for us. To ensure a world free of terrorism, bigotry, and intolerance, an America powerful, peaceful, and protected, a state of Israel strong, safe, and secure, and a Jewish people vibrant, vital, and vigorous. Tonight we promise, Zachor, gedenkt, remember. Thank you.